Are you feeling lost in a digital wilderness? Welcome to Lost in Siberia. We are your guide to navigating the world of cyberspace.
So whether you're a tech enthusiast or you're looking to land your first job in InfoSec, we're here to break things down into bite-sized pieces so that you don't have to. Okay, so welcome back everyone to another episode of Lost in Siberia. This is our first recording actually for 2026. And we are at the Canberra Cyber Hub office, which is exciting, in the city. We are your hosts, Annie May
And Annika?
And we have two guests today from Canberra Cyber Hub. We have Vicki Gardiner and Madi Cook. Would you like to introduce yourself first, Vicki?
Sure. So I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the Canberra Cyber Hub, and I've been with the hub for about 18 months, but have quite a long background across academia, industry, not-for-profits and government.
Awesome. And I'm Madi Cook. I've been with the hub also 18 months. We started a week apart, believe it or not. And I am one of the engagement managers for the hub. So I manage all our incoming connections, do a lot of collaboration pieces and help manage our events.
Great. And before we get into it, I also wanted to mention that this is the first time I've had a guest who has a Wikipedia page, which is very cool. So Vicki, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, so it's a couple of years old and I don't actually have access to update it. So you'll find that it's really out of date. But I have a science background and a lot of the work that I've been doing in addition to research, I've done a lot with my own professional association, which was the Royal Australian Chemical Institute. And with that, I've done a lot of science outreach, a lot of science communication and promotion. A couple of years ago, the Academy of Science had a grant for National Science Week, and the idea was there to promote Australian women in science. And so a whole group of people got together, wrote a whole lot of Wikipedia pages on Australian women scientists, and I was actually one that was suggested to be highlighted.
Yeah, so that's really cool. And I also saw that you have an award named after you, which is also very cool, the Vicki Gardiner Advocacy Award.
Yeah, so again, the Royal Australian Chemical Institute is the home place, or the home association for chemists in Australia. And I guess one of the things that's always been passionate for me is, again, the promotion and the outreach. One of my passions is around education and how that actually really breaks those socio-economic barriers to some extent, uplifts the community, uplifts people, uplifts family and the like. So a lot of the work that I do is encouraging people to think about science as a stream of study, a stream for work, but just general life pretty much. But yeah, all the things that we've done. I was the convener for the International Year of Chemistry in 2011, and a lot of that was actually just bringing chemistry to the public. And so a lot of that work was what contributed to the RSCI naming an award after me.
Yeah, very nice.
That is so cool. And do you think having the same kind of initiative for women in cyber to do Wikipedia pages after them could work as well?
Actually, that's a really good idea. Put that on the list, right? I am known for, this sounds like a great idea, and I'll definitely put that one in. Canberra is really an amazing place. Women represent about 24% of the cyber workforce globally. It's probably more around the 17% in Australia. Canberra's the cyber capital of Australia, let's face it, right? Because you've got all of the national security agencies here located in Canberra. You've got a lot of businesses who support government and defence and the like. So there's a real strong cybersecurity workforce here. And there have been amazing women who have come through that. And I think while we're at 17% across Australia, I reckon that we're probably a lot more female representation here. And we see that in our International Women in Cyber Day Awards, for instance. Like last year we had 40 nominations for 5 categories. And they were just so amazing. It's like I go into that room and I feel incompetent. They're just amazing. Like Annie May is one of our winners after all. So, we've got some amazing women in Canberra, and it's definitely worthwhile looking at how we promote them.
I'm going to make a Wikipedia page for you.
Yeah. Actually, I have a funny story about not me creating a Wikipedia page, but I had a previous boss and he wanted a Wikipedia page made about him and they actually rejected him. So I just want to say they don't give Wikipedia pages to everybody.
Well, there you go. That's worth noting. But I'm sure, Annie Mae, you would be definitely on our list of people to highlight.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's very nice of you.
Where are they now, Piers? Could be an option.
Could be.
And Maddie, do you want to talk about, I know before you got into cybersecurity, you were in tech, and then before that, I know you were working in travel, which is really fun. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you ended up where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. I have had a very mixed career path into cyber. I don't know if you would even class this as being in cyber because we're more in the events and advocacy space, kind of, but I class it as being in cyber because it's part of it, honestly. In the past, thought I would be a travel agent for my whole life, honestly. I never thought I would do anything else. And then coronavirus happened. But I always had an interest in computers when I was a younger age, and I never had the opportunity to study it. My schools didn't support it. We didn't have the classes. We didn't have those opportunities at all. The teachers didn't know what to do. And the few opportunity I did get, I was bullied out of, unfortunately. So it wasn't until I left being a travel agent and the travel industry that I really got on this path. I fell into recruitment, and through my job in recruiting, I learned all about the ICT world. So I was talking to ICT contractors every day. I was talking to people who had studied and they were working in their dream career, or they were on the pathway to getting their dream job, for example. And I had some fantastic mentors, and I was just exposed to this whole new world. And back then I thought, oh, this is so fascinating. And I loved seeing people's resumes and what they'd studied and how they got there, and like learning about what they did to achieve and get to where they are on that day. And I just thought, wow, I'm not doing enough with my life. So it was inspiring. It was a little intimidating. I did that for 2 years. I eventually became a trainer in that company, which was fantastic. Decided it wasn't really for me, and I pivoted to being an ICT project coordinator at a software company. I did that for a year, and I learnt a lot about the software development lifecycle and various things. I worked in between infrastructure and MSP teams. I was a technical writer. I did a lot of translating and communication work. And then I was approached to apply for the job at the Cyber Hub.
And here we are.
Yeah. It's been a very mixed pathway.
I actually also got into cyber because of coronavirus hitting the travel industry, so there you go.
We have that in common.
Yeah, no, I was in hotels and
Oh, yes.
yeah.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, it was really interesting. But we already talked about it in the podcast, so
We don't have to go down that road again.
Speaking of that, tell us more about Cyber Hub.
Yes. I'm one of the engagement managers at the Cyber Hub. My role at the Hub is to facilitate all our incoming connections, so new companies trying to get into the Canberra market, companies trying to get out of the Canberra market, and just figuring out how we can help them. As a not-for-profit, we're here to uplift the cybersecurity industry and help it grow, and everything we do is to achieve that goal. Recently, we were expanded into space and quantum as well, and we've started doing Team Canberra, which is very exciting. So we've been doing all the trade shows and helping cyber companies attend and export their products into those shows.
Yeah, and you have a very important event coming up soon as well.
Which one?
Ooh.
All right.
The reason we're here, Maddie. Which one? I was like, I thought you were like just testing Annika.
You could have done that.
And Annika's like, what?
I forgot. I'm so sorry.
I mean, we can talk about one of the other ones if you want.
There are so many.
No, so we want to talk about the Career Symposium.
First, and then we can expand too.
I have a lot of events on my mind, sorry.
Clearly.
And you have one very important event coming up.
Yes, the Cyber Career Symposium on the 31st
That
of
one.
March.
Yes. Let's talk about that one.
It's one of our biggest events of the year, and it's all about showcasing the diverse pathways into cybersecurity. We had it last year, and we had over 300 people walk through. It was awesome. We had busloads of school kids come out, and we even had the teachers engaging with us at the end of the day, and they were like, this is awesome, like how do we get involved? Like, it was just so rewarding to give back and see that excitement from the community. And of course all the participating businesses and TAFEs, CITs, schools, all of that.
And Vicki, do you want to talk a little bit about the different groups that come through? So I know it's split into you've got high school students, you've got university students, and then you've got career changers. Do you want to talk about how those groups differ in terms of how you present to them, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. Look, cybersecurity is one of these really interesting careers, right? As Annika, you, Maddie, there's non-traditional pathways into cyber. First thing that most people think about with cyber is it's the little hoodie people in the basement type thing, whereas in reality, it's just so much more than that. There is a place for the hoodie people, the stereotypes, but at the same time, cyber includes policy, it includes law, it includes economics and all these different types of things. So the opportunity that we have with the Career Symposium is to actually demonstrate and show where the different options are and different employment options are and alike with our expo people. So with high school students, I guess the main thing is really thinking about showing what is possible, because cyber often, as I said, has this stereotype, but if you don't necessarily into coding or anything like that, there's so many different opportunities, and that's what we're going to be showcasing. Hot off the press, we're also going to have the Australian of the Year, Catherine Bennell-Pegg, there as well. So talking about how cyber and space interact and things like that. So that's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
So for students, we've got it thinking about what the possible careers could be. So, it can start to inform a little bit about, yes, you may want to go and do law, but there is a possible career in cyber for you afterwards. For the adults, as we call them, so the tertiary students and career transitioners, a lot of the things are you might be doing an economics degree, but it's really, again, showing you that just because you are not doing an ICT degree or a cybersecurity degree doesn't put you out of the game for a cyber career. So a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about with that group of people in particular is around those durable or transferable skills, because industry are really looking for people who are creative, have an interest in solving problems, get on well with people and can communicate. So there are the different options and transferable skills that you can actually bring across, but then talk to businesses in ways that cyber businesses understand those skills and the value that they bring. So that's the kind of thing that we're going to be talking about in that respect. For the students, we've got a panel talking about how to hack a cyber career, including Catherine as well in that. We've got an expo, so you can go and talk with all the different companies, and this is cyber companies, industry-adjacent companies and government as well. So there's lots of different options in terms of employment. And then we've got some hands-on activities. So you get a bit of a taste tester, right? Sometimes it's, am I a GRC or governance risk compliance, or am I really one of those people who just loves looking at data and finding patterns and pretending to think about what the aggressor is trying to think and cutting them off at the pass type of thing. So a lot of different opportunities there. For the adults, we've got the hands-on to have a bit of a taste tester, but we've also got a one-on-one Ask an Expert session. So if you've got any questions around careers or where you are at the moment, we just want some advice, there's going to be people to talk to there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what you said about there's still obviously a big spot for people who just want to be hands-on on the tools in cybersecurity, but
The hoodie people.
Yeah, the hoodie people, yeah. Someone like me who has a humanities background, I kind of ended up in cybersecurity, and I've had to learn a lot of the technology as I've been in the job. I didn't learn in university, or I didn't learn before I came into the industry. And I think even just being able to communicate with different teams at work, like that alone is a skill that a lot of the hoodie people kind of struggle with. And you need the more business-minded people to actually implement things, especially because they kind of see everything at this level, right? They're not seeing it from the higher level where you're involving the executives and the people higher up in the chain who are actually making the decisions about, okay, well, you want that product, but you need to show us why do you want that? What's the reason behind that? What are we going to get out of that as well?
And I think like when you think about cyber, it is actually a bit of a wicked problem, in that you can't have just one group of people trying to solve the problem. You have to have it from different perspectives, which is why it's really important to have quite a diverse workforce as well, which is one of the things that we're highlighting, because cyber evil people don't think in straight lines, right? So we need to come at that problem with different perspectives, people who can really think about the psychology of cyber and in a way that the attackers are thinking. You need the technical, detailed people to be able to come with that real technical solution. And then, if you're looking from a business perspective, how can I make money out of it? What's the customer thinking? How do I translate that in a way that the customer can understand?
I find it more and more in my current work that we really need architects, and we need people to be focused on how we get that solution. And one of the main things about architecture is thinking about, as you said, from a bird's eye view. And yeah, it's very important to connect the things together. And Maddie, thinking about engagement, I wanted to ask when you were talking about the hoodie people, and this is my own bias.
And I mean that in a very nice and respectful way, because I can't do it, right?
Yeah, I just have this image of like Black Mirror episode. Somebody like grows into their hoodie. They're inseparable.
I have a very different picture.
Okay.
I'm picturing like a nice comfy hoodie, work from home.
Yeah, in a dark room.
Yep.
Yeah.
Diversity in cyber.
Like, what can I say? I'm used to the white lab coat with the glasses and crazy hair. I've still got the crazy hair.
But I feel like that's such a strong stereotype. I mean, we talk about it quite a lot. How do you plan engagement to break that stereotype?
That's a good question.
So I'm here.
It's not really a stereotype we're looking to break, because we don't want to exclude those people. They have a place in cyber still. It's just communicating that it's not just that stereotype, right? Like, you can have that range of roles and people. Like, you can come into an office and wear a pencil skirt and heels, or you can come in a hoodie, you can come in business casual. Like, there's a spot for everyone depending on the environment and what kind of role you're working in. And that's what we're here to showcase, the diversity of those roles. Like, it isn't just the hacker in the hoodie or the kid in his basement trying to hack radio waves, for example. I don't know if anyone saw that story of the 19-year-old. From an engagement point of view, the people I meet with are quite diverse, so it isn't just your stereotypes. Like, I'm meeting with founders and CEOs and CTOs, or I'm meeting with BDMs and salespeople. I'm meeting with people that are a week into the role, or they've been 2 years into the role, and they're technical and non-technical. So I need to know how to communicate with a diverse audience and tailor how I communicate to that audience and explain things in different ways to different people. If you're a great communicator, that is a strength in the engagement line of work. There's space for everyone. And that, for me, comes back to my history as a project coordinator, because I was communicating between 6 different teams. So I really picked up that skill in that role.
Would you say that being a travel agent also helped you with that?
Absolutely, yes. Being a travel agent, the transferable skills I gained in that career includes like problem solving, project planning, you know. Mm-hmm. You're piecing together itineraries, maybe they're cross-continent, cross-months, maybe people are travelling at different dates, different times, and they want to link up in a city. It was a very interesting line of work, and it was always a challenge to me, like always a puzzle to figure out. And it was always fun. Like, you're communicating with someone while trying to figure out their dream holiday and how the pieces all work together, and then you're delivering something that's going to make their day. And that's what I loved about it. So it was like communication piece and the problem solving aspect of it. And I've brought that forward into every role I've had since.
There you go. If you have any people working in travel that are listening and thinking, I could never work in cyber, that's wrong. You can. And we have an example here, a living example, doing it very well. I know this because, like, being in hotels, you communicate to such different people and so often. And you do have to think about everything, like just thinking about time zones and
yes.
thinking about different cultures and different backgrounds that people come from. And one thing that you can say, for example, can be offensive, or you can praise the person, like saying the same thing but to a different person. And yeah, it sounds wonderful, because you're like making their dream come true and then making someone's aspiration come true working in cyber.
And a correlation I've noticed in the cyberspace is, in travel, you're making someone's dream come true, but in cyber, you've got that personal element too, because you're protecting people and you're protecting what matters. So you've still got that reward system, right, if you do it right, I guess, of protecting an asset or protecting someone's belongings or protecting their home network, whatever it is. Like, there still is that personal aspect to it.
I'm interested to know, given that you must get a lot of information about not only the cybersecurity job market, but also space and quantum too. For many of our listeners who might be looking to move into cybersecurity, what does the market actually look like right now?
At the moment, there's around about 30,000 cyber professionals in Australia. They reckon that the demand is going to double by 2030. Another really interesting stat that I saw was that if you take all of that consideration and a number of businesses in Australia, there's one cybersecurity professional for every 240 businesses, which is a bit scary when you say that. Let's just hope that I got my stats right, because that is really quite a scary number. So when you start thinking about that, you've got the increased attacks coming on. You look at the ASD report, the number of attacks that just keep increasing. The cost to small business in particular keeps increasing. You're looking at a $60,000 impact on your business every cyber attack. And then the other issue around that is that within 6 months, 50% of those companies have folded because of the attack. So it's becoming more and more important. But at the same time, when you're talking about how do we overcome that, you don't have to necessarily be a full-on cyber professional to protect your business as well. So you can become like a cyber warden, be part of the Cyber Warden program, just doing basic hygiene things like...
Can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Yeah, so the Cyber Warden program was funded through Home Affairs, I think. The idea of that is it's a program, it's an online program, it's targeting anyone in any business. So you can become, just like you have fire wardens, first aiders, the idea is that you will also have a cyber warden in your business. And it doesn't have to be the CEO or the business owner. It just has to be anyone in the organisation, and everyone in the organisation can do this course. It's talking about what is cybersecurity, really is trying to take away the scariness of what cyber is, so take away that fear to raise awareness, and then start looking at changing the behaviour. So what can you do very simply without a huge amount of cost to help uplift and protect your business? So have you got your patches all updated? Have you updated your software to the latest version? Have you got multi-factor authentication on your systems? But even just starting to think about what kind of information do I have that is really important, that might be of value. So if you go to the hairdressers, you've got phone numbers, you've got addresses. That's personal information that is of value. Then you're going to really big organisations. Well, let's look at Qantas, for instance, and the amount of information that got lost there. And I am still getting the occasional thing posing as Qantas, and you go, no, you're not, mate.
But also you have the advantage of knowing to spot that. A lot of people don't, right?
Yeah, and so it's the same type of thing with the cyber wardens is how to spot a scam. Think about the kinds of questions you can ask to try and catch them out, but more importantly, what information should you never give out? So
yeah, and I think the asset inventory piece is a big one, because it doesn't matter how small or big an organisation is. I've seen it at all levels. A lot of places don't track that stuff. They don't even know what devices they have.
That's right.
And that's scary.
Yeah. And look, I think the other thing for organisations, and this goes into not-for-profits and really small organisations as well, is that there's so much more responsibility now as a director of an organisation around cybersecurity. So when you do have the smaller organisations, the more community organisations, just getting a bit more understanding around what are simple steps to protect your business is really important. That's where the Cyber Warden program comes in.
It's a scary number. I think I'm genuinely shook. One cyber professionals for every 240 businesses in Australia. For me, I always think this way, that the hardest work is not getting the fanciest tool in the market, and it's not knowing how to operate a tool to its biggest capacity. It's to communicate to people why you even need to have cybersecurity wardens or cybersecurity professionals. And I guess it does go back to the point of diversity and coming from that different background. But talking about explaining the why, and for example, I think as well, Madi, and again, I'm sorry if this is going to be a bit of a complicated question to answer, but what I've learned from cyber is that every day I learn something new. And I have completely forgone the idea that I will someday know everything and will be this cyber god level. How do you stay curious, and how do you sharpen those skills, learning about, for example, expanding into space and expanding into quantum, if you want to look at it from this lens?
It's a good question. So from a why perspective, it's interesting because we've definitely been to events where the why has been, a lot of people don't consider the why. So we've been to industries where they've treated cybersecurity as an insurance policy. So instead of taking it from that proactive point of view, they've just gone, if there's a breach, I'll deal with it when it happens, and my insurance will cover it, often not knowing what they need to do for their insurance to actually cover them properly. So the why is quite important for space and quantum, and on the topic of staying curious. For me personally, I'm just naturally a very curious individual. I like knowing how things work and why they are the way they are, and if things can be improved. I'm very big on like process improvements. I believe staying curious is the way to move forward in life, honestly. If you're curious by nature, there is no way but moving forward. Like, you're always going to be asking those tough questions and seeking that knowledge and looking for those different perspectives. If you're not sure where to start, but you're intrigued, you're interested, you've got those questions, or you've got something in the back of your mind, and you're like, oh, why is it like that? Like, just ask the question and reach out to people. Like, just start getting curious about things. Start asking those questions. Most people have a good amount of people around them with diverse experiences, diverse roles. You've got this network around you, use it. Friends, mentors, family, they're all so important when it comes to curiosity and learning and being on that path for knowledge. And nothing could help you more in life than having a curious mindset.
Yeah, I think on that point, that's a really good one, because I think is a really important skill to have in any industry, but I think particularly in cyber is really important because things are changing all the time. I was chatting with one of my old bosses the other day, and we were talking about AI, people wanting to implement like chatbots into their organisations and things, and you can't look at reports now from 12 months ago because it's too out of date. You have to be constantly thinking about, oh, what's happened in the last couple of months, because things are just happening so rapidly. And I guess with quantum as well, I think people are confused about cybersecurity, but when you mention the word quantum, it's like, what?
It's a growing field.
So how do you kind of bridge that gap between cyberspace and quantum?
It comes back to the why, right? So the reason, everyone's going to hate me for this, the reason why I stopped doing physics in second year was because of quantum physics. For me, I'm a tactile person, right? So my PhD is in synthetic chemistry because I can mix two things together and actually get some crystals, some real things that you can see and touch and whatever else.
Okay, sorry, before you continue, I have this quote from you that I found online, which I thought was great. You said, you can take the girl out of chemistry, but you can't take the chemistry out of the girl.
Well, side note, everyone always said, we haven't had our chemistry lesson in the office downstairs still. So everything comes back to chemistry, but quantum physics. Obviously, of course, the next course I did in the following semester was quantum chemistry. But anyway, but when you talk about, like, if you look at quantum space and cyber, the great thing about where we are going across all of those three ecosystems is that you've got your ecosystem-specific issues. Like, they're all quite different, but at the same time, they're all quite similar. Because then you have a really nice crossover across the three ecosystems. So cybersecurity and space is so important when you start talking about space when it comes to communications. And why are we communicating? Well, why is space communications important? Well, it's how regional Australia communicates with the rest of the world. It's how they get health services. It's how they stay connected with country, stay connected with communities. And so it's really assisting those rural and remote communities. If we don't have the cybersecurity to make sure that those communications and all that infrastructure is kept safe and secure, a whole lot of people are going to be very disadvantaged. Then you come into quantum. Well, quantum is just taking over, right? So, well, it's not taking over, but it's going to be one day. But, you've got your quantum sensing. So you start talking about your atomic clocks and the like. And that actually then assists with space in terms of getting accuracy, which, of course, all of that information still does need to be secure. But it's also around how we're building national security and resilience as well. So it's pretty cool, right? And that's how I stay excited about learning and things like that. It's how do the things that we're doing as technical professionals affecting people's lives and providing for people's lives.
I'm just thinking about regional Australia. When I first moved here, and I was like, wow, this internet is really slow. And I really,
It really is. Australia's internet's slow.
I'm not complaining. This is more
There is an ad that says, now, who is slow?
But of course, not understanding the privilege I had because I was in Melbourne and I was actually still experiencing a very safe and steady connection compared to somebody who is definitely isolated. And we've definitely saw it, for example, with the Optus incident where people could not reach out to emergency service providers and how it affects it. And again, it goes into that scary territory. And for me, the way I always viewed curiosity is that curiosity is that way to break fear.
Yes.
That's the only way for you to go, I'm so scared of the dark. I'm so scared of the dark. But hey, I see something that is shining over there. I'm going to go and check it out. And then it's not as dark anymore. It comes back to the why, but it's very important to then bring it to that emotional level, I guess, from an engagement perspective, but keep it light as well. And I find it very hard to do. And you're very positive people, both of you. You're very bubbly and very jumpy. How do you not stay just curious, but also stay optimistic in the space?
The way that I think, it's very much that growth mentality. So I always bang on about continuous improvement. You can do something, 80% is okay, but you can always learn, right? If something doesn't go well, that's okay as long as you learn something from it, assuming that no one gets killed. So it's
a big caveat.
It's one of those things, even like at work, and comes Friday afternoon, got to get this last thing done. Well, do you really? Is it going to really affect anyone? No. Well, just go on and have a good weekend, right? So
as long as no one gets killed.
So for being in chemistry, your experiment can go wrong as long as you don't catch on fire, right? So don't burn the building down.
For me, in this role I've found myself in, I have definitely had ups and downs on the topic of staying positive. So the more I learn, the scarier it gets sometimes. And sometimes I wish I could just bury my head in the sand and stay naive.
Don't we all?
Yep. But it's just not an option. No. You just can't. You've got to be part of it. You've got to keep pushing forward. And when I have those days, I think about all the amazing people I've met and the amazing work they're trying to push forward and do. And that brings me hope, which helps me stay positive. I also just naturally like to believe the best in people. I've been called naive for that, but it's not going to change things. You can also just do things like keep a journal of positive moments that have happened to remind yourself physically, have something to refer back to. There is so much good out there. If you need to look for it and keep a reminder, that's just what you got to do.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very easy to get very bogged down in the negative aspects, especially when you check the news. That's definitely like a massive downer. Or if you're looking at... But none of these things are easy, right? Like national security is not easy. Quantum computing is not easy. Like none of these things are easy, and they're challenges that we have to face as not only a country, but also with our partners. And you mentioned that resilience piece before, right? And that's really important, especially when we look at it from a diplomatic perspective, because our partners in the Indo-Pacific don't have the capabilities that we have, and we need to help them stay secure in order to keep us secure, because they could be that backdoor into us getting attacked. So working together and that trust, I think, is also really important. Like we do need to trust people. We can't trust everybody, obviously, but like we can trust certain people, or in whatever context we're talking about.
Now, you're right, and like that cyber diplomacy, I've heard it described as, Australia actually has... And I guess this is the one thing I really like about Australian culture, is that typically we are pretty friendly and helpful people as a country. There are a lot of even Canberra-based companies doing a lot in terms of that cyber diplomacy as well in South Pacific. And again, when you're talking about how do you stay positive, as you mentioned, that growth mindset for me, growth is actually one of my values, and I'm very value aligned. So the reason why I love doing these types of jobs is because I love to help make a difference. So if I'm helping a company to reach their markets, fantastic. If I'm helping someone to think about possible career pathways, and of course doing science at school, fantastic. If I say one thing that might give someone an idea or inspire, fantastic. For me, that's what drives me to stay positive. And the thing around how do you keep up with all the information? Well, you just have to, right? And I think one of the challenges that you have, especially in those more senior roles, is that giving yourself permission to have time to read and to learn, because you can't do everything. And I fall into that trap. And we've started to use Copilot a lot more in our work now, but allowing yourself to have the time to try things and just be a bit curious, as Maddie was saying. You don't need to go full on hell for leather into AI, and just try one thing a day. It's just a little bit, one step at a time,
I couldn't agree more. I've seen it in my colleagues in cyber and with AI specifically. And I've seen 3 approaches. And the approach that surprises me the most is the approach of, AI is so bad, we should just ban it, burn it. I'm not even going to touch it and try it. And while I agree that, you need to approach with caution always, so nobody gets killed and the building doesn't go on fire.
Yep. Brilliant. Most today's lesson, no one gets killed, building does catch on fire.
I guess for every cyber professional, any communications professional as well, it's very important to understand how things work. I definitely seen it where people are so bogged down in the I have so much to do and it's so important and I am not doing enough, and then you are behind. Yeah.
Something that you just said there before, being a scientist and in the lab, running labs and everything, my brain does risk assessments every hour probably, right? Maddie will say she can see that I'm thinking and I'm going, I'm just going through what could happen. But your point around the adoption of technology, absolutely, you do it in a way that is safe for you and where you feel comfortable, but just recognise, thinking about, what impact could, coming back to the cyber safety piece, if I am using an AI platform, what information should I not give it? Even in business, right? If I'm going to use an open platform, make sure you don't put your financials in it.
Can I add to this?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. We're talking about AI, I'm getting excited. In my role, meeting so many people week on, week out, I get a lot of tools shared with me all the time. People want to talk about it. It's exciting. We're still in the AI bubble, of course. And recently someone shared Clawbot with me, for an example. And then a week later I found out it was leaking API keys. So I think while it's exciting that all these new tools are coming out, and it's good to have a healthy level of skepticism, don't just jump on it just because it's viral, because you don't know the full picture unless you do your research or you've had that time to see those risks. And that's definitely something I've learned from working with Vicki, is taking that step back approach and just seeing how things unfold a little bit first, instead of jumping on that hype train, because you just don't know what these products are doing initially, unless you've built them yourself or you've got that oversight over it. You just don't know where your data's going or what it's connecting to or what it's leaking.
Yeah, if you can operate it in a sandbox, I guess, environment, if you can try it in a safe way, as you say. We've talked about it, like what is the most important thing to us when it comes to information, and the private information versus personal information and the impact of it's being leaked. And that's the hard bit to communicate, right? Because people think cyber and they straight away think it's everything that is the digital world, but what the actual thing you are trying to protect behind it, or very obviously so sometimes, is information, right?
I actually had a conversation with some school kids last year around that very topic. We did an event with the National Youth Science Forum last year, and part of that was doing one-on-one interviews with students. So I got the opportunity to go and attend that. So I would speak to 4 students at a time. And in that group, none of them were interested in cybersecurity or ICT. A lot of it was to do with climate change, the environment. A bunch of them wanted to be nurses, which is fantastic, absolutely great career paths. But what I said to them is, you've all got phones, you've all got computers, you've all got family who are connected to the internet. Like, what are you doing to secure your loved ones? What are you doing to secure yourself? Like, do you even know how to keep your phone secure? Do you know what protections you should have in place? Like, it's still important regardless of what career you're in. And it's only going to become more important. I probably scared them a little bit, but they walked away with a bit more knowledge.
Yeah, mate. But I think that's the big important thing about cybersecurity, right? It's not just protecting systems. It's protecting people. It's protecting data, and it's protecting culture.
And on a larger scale, protecting country as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today, and thank you for letting us come to your office space.
Shuffle your furniture around.
Yeah. We did that multiple times before we settled on a formation. Do you have any final thoughts? Do you want to plug your event?
Absolutely, and I will plug the event that we're talking about here. So
Which one is that?
that will be the Canberra Cyber Hub's Cyber Career Symposium.
And what date is that on?
That'll be on the 31st of March. If you are a school student or school teacher in Canberra and in the surrounds, interested in bringing your school kids to the symposium, contact the Canberra Cyber Hub. Our website is canberracyberhub.com.au. And we will be in touch with you on how to do that. If you are a non-school student and would like to come, go to Eventbrite and search for Cyber Career Symposium, and you'll be able to register there.
Okay, great. And we'll also link to the event in the show notes as well, so if anyone would like to go. All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of Lost in Siberia.
And we will catch you next time.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, bye. Awesome. Okay.